Hi and welcome to the Cloaked Hedgehog's YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about colors, more specifically a certain color. But I'm going to start just talking a little bit about colors in general. We have our primary colors, which are colors that you can't get by mixing other colors. And these primary colors are yellow and red and blue. And if we mix two of these, then we get the secondary colors, which are orange and purple and green. And by mixing two of those, we get the tertiary colors, which are things like cyan and magenta and such. And then there are colors that are called impossible colors. Colors that shouldn't, or actually supposedly cannot be perceived normally. But some of these can actually be seen under certain circumstances. There are, for example, chimerical colors that we can see by staring at another color and then looking somewhere else. Like we have Stygian colors. And they are very dark and impossibly saturated. Like to see Stygian blue, you can stare at this bright yellow dot and then look onto a black surface. I'm going to show you. Stare at this yellow spot for a while, and then I'm going to change the screen to black and wait a few seconds, and you're going to see a really deep blue that is as dark as the black and yet blue, and that is of course impossible, but you're gonna see it anyway. So just stare at this dot, stare at the beautiful yellow, very circular dot. And I'm gonna shift the screen to black. Are we seeing it? There are self-luminous colors, which are colors that are impossible in the sense that they are actually brighter than white, which of course is impossible. But you can see this by staring at this green dot. And when I change the screen to white, you're going to see a red dot that is brighter than the white. So just stare at the green dot for a little bit. It doesn't have to be that long. And I'm going to change the screen to white. There. Did you see self-luminous red? That's an impossible color. And there are hyperbolic colors that are impossibly highly saturated. Like if you take a completely as saturated as possible orange, you can still see something that's even more saturated orange by staring at its opposite color for a bit. And you can see a very, very saturated green in a while if you stare at this magenta colored dot for a bit. Let's do that, shall we? And when I change, the screen will be green. But you're going to see a dot that's even more green. And I guarantee you, the green in the background is as saturated green as you can get. So just keep staring at the little dot there. Nice dot. Interesting little dot. And now I'll change the screen to green. Right, did you see that hyperbolic green there? That is impossible, because the green in the background is as green as it's possible to get, and yet you saw a green that was even greener. So those are called chimerical colors and are part of these impossible colors. And that's interesting. And what I mainly want to talk about today is the darkest color of them all, i.e. black. There is black, and there is blacker, and there is blackest. And then there is something that I call supernatural black. And I call it that because in certain cases, certain creatures, beings, and things that people see are described as being blacker than black, light absorbing black. Black is defined by Wikipedia as the result of the absence or complete absorption of visible light. You know, something can be black. I have a black cat, but she is black and you can still see her. You can see the various parts of her. She doesn't look like a black hole. There's black like that. Then there's super black, which is a surface treatment that is used in things like optical instruments to get rid of any stray light that shouldn't be in there. And that black is so black that it absorbs 99.9% of light. Then there is really black, something called Vanta black, that was invented by the Surrey Nanosystems. And it's a chemical substance made of vertically aligned carbon nanotube arrays. Easy. And it is one of the darkest artificial substances known. It absorbs up to 99.965% of the radiation in the visible spectrum. I mean, it's so black, it looks like a hole. You can't see anything of the surface of it at all. It looks like a hole, as you can see here. It is very, very black. So this supernatural black, that I call it, is that about that black? Does it really absorb light? And if it does, could we use that for anything? I mean, could we use this information to deduct anything? Because what else in nature is that black? I'm going to give you some examples of creatures that people have seen who seem to be described as this super ultra mega black. It's some dogmen. This is very annoying to me, but some, not all, at all, but some dogmen are described as being blacker than black. Then there is this creature that I tend to call the anti-fleshgate, because it's described as having the rough shape of the fleshgate, but where the fleshgate is sort of powdery white, this thing is blacker than black. You can't see any features on it. It's like a black hole with a shape moving around. And it's shorter than a fleshgate. It seems to be around 5 feet tall. And it seems to have a sort of pointy head, little cone head. But other than that, it seems to be described very much like a fleshgate. So I call it the anti-fleshgate. Then there are the black stickman figures that people see. They are also described as pitch or beyond pitch black. And let's not forget the black-eyed kids and their eyes. And then there is an extra strange thing there are these creatures that people see that I don't even know if you can describe them as creatures. They are two-dimensional, blacker than black, and consist of just geometric shapes, like triangles and rectangles and weirdness. And I've been thinking about things like visible spectrum, outside the visible spectrum. What would something look like to us if we can only perceive anything from red to violet? I mean, the 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. If something is outside of that and we still saw it, would we see it at all? And if we were to see it, what would it look like? Maybe it would look like this. I don't know. And then I'm thinking, okay, so there's that. And then there's the dimensional thing. We live here in our space-time, and we can't fathom any other dimensions. We just can't. There can't possibly be any other dimensions. I mean, there's depth, width, and height, and then time. What else can there possibly be? Well, that's what you get for living in this universe. We can't even imagine any other dimensions, but we know that there are other dimensions. We know that. And I'm not in any way an expert in the dimensions or anything. I just know that they think that all dimensions exist even here, but that some are sort of rolled up. Don't ask me to explain what that means, but in another place, I don't know what place, but say something is living in 5 dimensions. We are 3-dimensional. Say that they are 5-dimensional. It doesn't mean they have to have our 3 plus 2. It can be that they have 2 of ours, and then 3 that we have no idea what they are. And say something is like that, and they come here, and we see it. What will we see? We can only see, of those 5 dimensions, we can only perceive 2. Then we will only see that as some flat, weird shape, right? I mean, I just keep thinking about it. And colors, I mean, if it's a color we can't even understand, maybe we see it as that ultra mega black, because our eyes are not created to perceive that color. Our brains are not created to be able to process that color. So I'm just thinking that there is a clue about this particular blackness of certain things. That supernatural black. I just don't know what that clue is. This Vanta black is supposed to be pretty light absorbing. I mean, 99.965. There wouldn't be much escaping that. No reflection whatsoever, pretty much. But this Vanta black, it's produced. I mean, it's not a naturally occurring thing. I've been trying to think of what is the blackest naturally occurring thing. And I can't think of anything in nature that is so black that you can't see the surface of it. Like coal, like certain rocks, like onyx. It's really black. It couldn't really be blacker, and yet you can still see it. It doesn't look like a hole. So for something to be so black that it actually absorbs the visible light, there's a clue there. I know there is. I'm just adding it to my little pile of clues, and one day maybe I'll have enough to make some kind of deduction. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, actually. Why do we see them as so incredibly black? Because there is nothing in nature that is that black. Nothing. Nothing so black that it absorbs light. That I can think of anyway. And if you can think of something, please comment. And this is what I'm handing to you today. Think about the supernatural black and why it is the way it is and what could cause that. If you have any ideas, please feel free to comment. Until next time, take care, be safe, bye.